Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Frank Nigro, Superintendent and President of Shasta College. On behalf of our faculty and staff and students, it's my great honor to welcome Governor Newsom and also Secretary Knox and all of our distinguished guests and partners here today. For 75 years, Shasta College has proudly served the North State, empowering students to build their futures and fueling the businesses that drive our local economy. Walk into any hospital, doctor's office, or dental clinic in our region, and you'll likely be cared for by one of our remarkable alumni from our nursing, dental hygiene, or other health science programs. If you step into a fire station or a CAL FIRE unit, and you'll see our graduates among the brave men and women protecting our communities from devastating wildfires. From agriculture to early childhood education, logging to diesel and automotive technology, our career technical education programs prepare students to fill critical roles in our workforce. Of the 5 instructional areas at Shasta College, 3 of them are CTE, with nearly 46% of our programs dedicated to training skilled professionals and entrepreneurs who keep our economy running. In recent years, we've also been able to amplify the effects of our programs through establishing strong dual enrollment partnerships with our high school partners, so much so that we are now a leader in the state on this front. And we've also benefited from partnerships with key industries and organizations such as CAL FIRE and Sierra Pacific Industries that have allowed us to expand the educational opportunities for students in our region. None of our accomplishments would have been possible without the unwavering trust and support of our community. The passage of the Measure H bond in 2016 is a powerful testament to that trust, a promise that Shasta College will continue to serve students and business partners for the next 75 years and beyond. Today, we celebrate not just our history, but also our shared commitment to the future prosperity of the North State. It's such an honor to host Governor Newsom and Secretary Knox as we look ahead to the critical role that our college and the community college system will play in creating opportunity and transforming lives. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Shasta College alumni and a graduate from our Fire Academy program, Maureen Guillot.
Thank you, Dr. Nigro. The last time I was on campus, I was called Cadet Maureen Guillot. A few things have changed since then, and now I'm changing a lot of diapers as I recently became a mom to my first child. Since graduation from the Fire Academy, I have served with CAL FIRE as a Firefighter 1 for 2 seasons, and I look forward to returning to active duty soon. My path to a career in a non-traditional field in the fire service wasn't always clear to me. When I started at Shasta College, I was not sure what I wanted to do. I have always enjoyed science, so I started taking as many science classes as possible, eventually graduating with an associate's in natural sciences. But I soon realized that as I wanted to be on my feet, moving around and using my hands at a skill that I could master. As a child, I had always wanted to be a firefighter, so I came back to Shasta College where I enrolled in the Fire Academy. I have to admit, I was a little nervous. I was the only girl, so initially I was very shy. But that didn't last long. The guys were all wonderful and they supported me through and through, just like they supported each other. I wasn't one of the guys, I was a part of a team. Shasta College trained me for the job I love and helped me get a career that I'm passionate about. But my journey doesn't stop there. I'm about to return to Shasta College my 3rd time to take the EMT program next semester and eventually work for the municipal fire department. Success is all about having the right attitude, the right mindset, and the right team behind you. My success started at Shasta College, and my future is possible because of the programs and the instructors who believe in and inspire hundreds of students like me. It is now my honor to introduce our next speaker, Courtney Farrell, Project Manager for North State Planning and Development Collective.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Farrell, Project Manager for the North State Planning and Development Collective at California State University, Chico, under the leadership of President Perez and Executive Director Jason Schwinkler. Our organization is focused on triple bottom line activities delivered through inclusive economic development and GIS support. Our organization serves as the fiscal lead for the North State Jobs First initiative, as well as the co-convener with our partner, Sierra Institute for Community and Environment. Chico State is intentional about partnering and collaborating with our community-based organizations and industries to build career pathways with our community college partners throughout the North State. The North State Planning and Development Collective's mission is to build capacity in our region, to reinforce a resilient economy and working lands, and to provide opportunities to our young people with a robust learning experience. Our organization, alongside our partners like Sierra Institute, Big Chico Creek Ecological Reserve, the Center for Regenerative Agriculture, and our Tribal Relations Office, is restoring salmonid habitats, mitigating climate implications through carbon sequestration projects, and building resources for our most vulnerable communities. Water, broadband, food production, forest health, and access to training and higher education is critical to the well-being of our people. The North State region of California is defined by stunning beauty and a wealth of natural resources. These communities, despite mining and timber booms and busts, are home to the region's greatest asset, overwhelmingly self-reliant and entrepreneurial people. Surprisingly to many, this picturesque landscape is integral to more populated and urbanized parts of California, who are highly dependent on the North State's water and rely upon its wood products, food production, and recreational opportunities. In the North State, social, economic, and ecological dynamics cannot be separated. Future businesses and jobs need to be fully integrated into strategies to better manage the landscapes for food, wood production, water supplies, and ecological health and resiliency. Literally everyone needs a path to economic security, health, and well-being. Our vision is for a thriving and resilient North State economy that produces climate-adaptive forests and watersheds, healthy and financially secured communities, and growing and innovative local businesses linked to regional markets. The North State's 10-county region covers 31,000 square miles, from the Oregon border to deep in the heart of Sacramento Valley. The North State Jobs First initiative provided a platform to collaborate and partner with our region, especially our counties like Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas, that are often unable to participate in planning activities that are critical in moving our economy forward. Through countless meetings, discussions, and collaborative sessions, the North State developed our first ever regional strategy focusing on natural resources, agriculture, tourism, and health. It is an honor to be here today alongside Shasta College, a key partner in our economic and workforce development efforts, particularly through the K-16 Collaborative Initiative, and with us as the lead of the Butte Network. We are appreciative of the opportunity to build our initiatives alongside one another, a true collaborative process between education and industry. We would like to thank the governor and his team for the vision and leadership as all regions of our nation. We would also like to thank our university leadership for serving as a backbone for the North State's greatest assets, our people and our land, and to believe in true partnership and collaboration. So it's my distinct pleasure to present Governor Newsom with our regional strategy. Governor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for a little quick picture.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now it is my honor to introduce my colleague and our colleague, Billy Miller, Shasta College Dean of Extended Education and North State Together Leadership. Billy?
Thank you, Courtney. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Billy Miller. I'm the Dean of Extended Education and North State Together here at Shasta College. I have the privilege of leading the work of our North State Together backbone team, along with my supervisor, Dr. Kevin O'Rourke, CEO of North State Together and Associate Superintendent at Shasta College. Our guiding principle at North State Together is clear. We seek to promote local solutions to local community problems, but we recognize that no single organization, no matter how robust, no matter how complex, can tackle complex community issues in isolation. If healthcare professionals, if government agencies, if community members, if schools can work together and collaborate collectively, we can create a holistic education system that works for all. And so to promote regional collaboration, North State Together has developed 10 cross-sector leadership teams. These teams are comprised of leadership in education, in workforce, in community, in families. These individuals work together to discuss local solutions to student success barriers and to promote cradle-to-career outcomes regionally. You may have heard in April 2022, Shasta College and North State Together applied for and received the Regional K-16 Education Collaboratives Grant. This was truly a unified effort. Our application featured over 50 applications, or over 50 signatures, from cross-sector organizations all throughout our region, including the presidents of every college in our region and superintendents of every office of education in our region. In just 2 years, we've accomplished so much. We've expanded the North State Together regional collective impact model from 5 to 10 counties. We've invested over $10 million to the county networks, the 10 county networks that North State Together serves. And we've created and or expanded over 20 pathways in healthcare and education in just 2 years of the first 2 years of the grant term, serving an estimated 2,000 students. Our collective work is just getting started. Just last May, we hosted a work group comprised of over 75 colleagues from throughout the region to help inform the CTE master plan that we're eagerly waiting to hear about. As Courtney mentioned, with the implementation of California Jobs First in our region, we're so excited to work with the Sierra Institute and Chico State, co-conveners of the California Jobs First initiative and members of the North State Together K-16 Collaborative. I'm truly proud to represent the K-16 Collaborative and such an innovative education system. I believe that together we can navigate opportunities, we can overcome complex challenges to make a brighter future for our students. And with that, it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Secretary Stuart Knox.
Thank you, Billy. I am Stuart Knox, the Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development from the agency from the state of California. Pleasure to be here today, get the opportunity to talk about the K-16 collaboratives, as you've heard a lot about. But in addition to that is our Jobs First initiative, really tying together jobs, high-demand employment and jobs, with careers for the future, and how do we actually educate people and train people for that. Understanding that the master plan is a part of higher education, our CSUs, our UCs, our community college system, and is also part of our workforce development programs. So the training programs that lie under Labor Workforce Development Agency, it's not always about what they've learned in college, but it's also what they've learned on the job. How do we take that information and equate that to community colleges, to our UCs and our state universities for the future? So how do you take those demonstrated skills that they've actually attained through employment or other parts of their life and actually to move them into a career? A higher paying career is our goal. Having a record like this will make it easier for employers to find the right people and for the workers of our next generations to find the right jobs. Everyone knows school is not the only place that people learn. People learn while they're in their current jobs. They learn while they're working at home. They've learned raising children. So with all of that knowledge and background, we want to be able to take that and take that information through credit for prior learning, through data systems, and working with our community colleges to actually elevate these folks to be able to earn good-paying jobs within the state of California, which leads us to what Courtney talked about, which is how do we actually look at what are those jobs for the future going to be for the future? Especially in the North State, we know we have a limited amount of jobs. How do we grow the current jobs and employment we have? How do we actually have good, high-paying wages in the North State? I'm a North State resident originally. I came from Tehama County, and so it's a pleasure to actually get up here and actually talk about the work ahead for us. I look forward to the many months ahead working on the collaboratives, working on the Master Plan on Education, and working on the California Jobs First initiatives. A lot more to come, and with that, I will introduce your new Assembly member, and I'm going to mess up your name probably. We just met today, so good to see you.
Hi, my name is Heather Hadwick. I'm District 1 Assembly member, just newly elected and sworn in last week. I want to thank the governor for coming to the North State. It's not often that we get Sacramento up this north, and I appreciate him coming to talk to boots on the ground and really see what our collaboration is all about. I'm a proud alumni of Shasta College and Chico State, so it was pretty surreal to be in the room talking about how our future is going to shape for our youth. I was one of those kids that they're targeting for this. I was raised by a single mom, first person in my family to go to college, and now I have 2 kids in college. My bonus daughter is actually attending Shasta College right now and is a McConnell Scholar going through nursing, and my oldest son is in college in Nebraska studying ag business. I am from Modoc County, so I live 3 hours from a Costco. It is very rural, and career pathways are what we have. We know that we have to show our youth what's out there and that they don't always see it at home. So I'm very excited. The conversations were great today, and I'm excited to see this get to work. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Assemblymember Al Marichoto.
Thank you very much, Assemblywoman Hadwick. My name is Al Maricici. I'm the chair of the Assembly Education Committee, and I'm here to make it absolutely clear that Sacramento cares about the North State. I chair the Education Committee where we deal with all of the education policies throughout the state of California for all 6 million of our California public school students. And, I had the privilege last year of touring the North State, the beautiful North State, and your K-12 schools up here. And I learned a lot about, your unique challenges here in this beautiful part of the state of California. And I very much look forward to working with your new Assemblywoman Hadwick. I am here for today to continue this ongoing conversation that we've been having about this very important initiative that our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been championing, the Master Plan for Career Education. We know that a critical part of our public education system is to teach real-world skills for the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. And that, means so much, we know, especially for the North State, where you have, again, the rural communities, jobs that can be spread out for miles, creators that can be spread out for miles. And we know that our K-12 schools, our community colleges, our universities need to be working together to make sure that we're investing in our children to be prepared for the jobs of today and tomorrow. And so that is why I am here to continue to listen and to learn from the unique challenges that the North State faces as we continue to develop this master plan for career education. Now it is my privilege to introduce a true champion for public education, our governor for the world's 5th largest economy, someone that has made record investments, not only in our schools, our community colleges, or universities, but in so many facets of public education, whether it's addressing our mental health needs, whether it's addressing, supporting community schools, which we know are so critical here in the North State, supporting so many of the support services that we need to invest in our kids, our governor, Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here, and thank you for all of you for the conversation we just had and participating in this process that's unfolded over the course of the last many, many years. Let me just go back a few years. We launched a number of initiatives that we're trying to braid together here today. A number of initiatives that really focused on reconciling the distinctions between our various regions in the state, establishing a framework to actually map the regions in this state, to force as a function of engagement and collaboration, of data sharing, of information sharing, of trust building. That process took shape in more formal respect in 2021 with the establishment of a $250 million grant through what we refer to as the K through 16 Collaborative. What was unique and distinctive about that grant, and I appreciate Kevin highlighting that today, is that every region in this state, 13 distinctive regions, received the exact same amount of money, $18 million. LA, $18 million. North State, $18 million. Didn't matter what part of the state you were in, there was a framework that we are all in this together and that we're all better off, and we're all better off. That it wasn't just around population, it wasn't just around political influence. It was a recognition that we had to reconcile the relationship between one another all across California. That effort has been taking shape in a formal way. The work that you've done up here in the North State is a benchmark for the rest of the state. I don't say that lightly. I've had the privilege of being in a number of these conversations. That was one of the more insightful conversations that we've had, and Stuart, our labor secretary, made that point that not only is he from this region, he said he's never been more proud of being from this region, because when we launched that, we didn't know how that application would work in terms of the implementation of this effort, and it's a point of obvious pride to Stuart, but also me, of the successful work that you've advanced on that effort. What was important about that effort, it wasn't just one-off. It was a framework, again, recognizing a need to focus, yes, on college, but also we needed to focus on career. And so we created a framework that we utilized from the K through 16 collaborative to map a similar map that was adopted for a Jobs First initiative. And we provided, under the similar framework, $5 million for each of the 13 regions throughout the state of California to develop an economic and workforce, more on that in a second, development strategy. $5 million, not for, as was stated earlier, another plan, but a framework to practically apply and implement a lot of the ideals represented within our diverse regions around the state. Just a few weeks ago, we received the first Jobs First plan from Fresno, inspired by the Fresno Drive initiative that helped us launch this construct a few years back. We went down to Kern County in Bakersfield with Mayor Go and received the second plan. I was down at the border at Otay Mesa, and we were talking about the work being done down there in San Diego in Imperial County, and I'm honored to be up here with all of you receiving the North State Plan more formally. For all of those that participated in this, again, gratitude, respect, and appreciation. But I also want you to appreciate that it wasn't just the $5 million planning grant to develop this framework and strategy. It was a $14 million subsequent grant that went equally to all 13 regions that will allow you to take ideas from this plan, and ready-to-go projects can start to get funded. So North State has $14 million to move forward, to make visible, to make real this framework. Again, nothing like this that we're aware of in the country exists. This level of detailed economic and workforce development, bottom up, not top down, funded in real time, with the practical application taking shape at the same time that we rev up the programs and strategies. What also makes this special is that in January, because if you think good enough is, it's not. Good enough never is. We're going to be putting additional, it's already been funded, thank you to the Assembly member and his outstanding work and his colleagues. We put up $120 million of competitive grants that are available quite literally in a few weeks, January 1st. And those grants, again, are to move forward with early stage projects as part of this plan. And so we're really excited about these 13 regional plans. We'll be rolling them up in January into one statewide economic and workforce development vision. The framework, again, is the state vision is realized locally. I say this often, and I'll say it again. Localism is determinative. This is not a patronizing plan where we're selling down a vision for the state. Quite the contrary. This is a vision that is informed by leaders all throughout the state of California. Hundreds and hundreds of hours went into these plans. Tens of thousands of people have participated in the development of these plans over the course of the last year. And these plans each represent areas of strengths in each region and areas of weaknesses and opportunities to address the gaps. So that was number 2. We came out with a collaborative, K through 16, economic and workforce development, a jobs first framework that knits more strategically opportunities as it relates to addressing gaps in terms of economic growth and performance in this state. But there was a state of mind that was missing as it relates to those that don't have the desire, need, or capacity to imagine a 4-year college degree or even a 2-year associate's degree. As Stuart was saying, those that simply want to have a vibrant and outstanding career. And so we wanted to reconcile that. And that's why today we're putting out our career master plan. Along the lines of the 1960 Master Plan for Higher Education, this frames out a pathway for career education. We've been working for over a year on this effort. This effort, by the way, includes a council that has been formed about a year and a half or so ago. They've been meeting in every part of the state, including up here. They had 8 regional summits, hundreds and hundreds of participants, informed by best practices across the country, many of them emanating from places like this, including from graduates like you, as it relates to opportunities that persist and exist outside of a college-going mindset. And so we're really excited about this. And as Stuart said, this is around recognizing that we needed to create a framework where you can get the benefit of a life well lived that, again, doesn't include some fancy, degree. And what we're doing in that respect is we're also providing opportunities to develop a skill set mindset in partnership with our community college system. And this is, again, I want to knit back because it's about blending and braiding and knitting together these larger subject matters. We are engaging specifically our community college system, and our chancellor has been just next level in terms of her support as pathways for career developments, as our principal collaborative partner, by providing the opportunity as a specific example for military members and their families, for service members that had as an example basic training, not to come back to a community college and have to take courses that they're well familiar with and basic requirements for their education that they've already received in the military. So they get credit for prior learning. And the framework of the career education framework is around credit for prior learning, not just for military vets, which specifically are called out. And now we'll be running statewide, system-wide, in every community college, that credit for prior learning. But we're also doing it for service learning. And this is exciting as well. California has more volunteers, Josh Friday's behind me, who started this. We have more service volunteers than the Peace Corps in the state of California, significantly larger, in fact. We have nation-leading programs like College Corps. You provide 450 hours of community service, we'll provide $10,000 grants. We were up here, President Perez was just talking about, and Chico State's one of the biggest beneficiaries of that plan. But we also believe service should also be included in the context of credit. And that is also being expanded. That's another construct that we'll be promoting and we'll be advancing as part of this larger effort. Again, thank you to the Chancellor for her championing that proposal as well. So all of these things coming together. And by the way, I'd be remiss, and if you're not confused, you're not paying attention. There's a lot of announcements here. But one of the things I just haven't seen, I see a lot of headlines about stuff, not things that I think matter. Let me give you something that matters. The community college were able to get a grant, a waiver from the U.S. Department of Education. In that waiver, up to 4 million Californians today are eligible without a high school degree, meaning a high school diploma. You dropped out of high school, you can still get opportunities to get financial aid at community college because of that waiver. That's also part of a career plan. You know, this is, again, something I just think is like, why are people talking about this as opposed to majoring in the minors? This is a big deal, and people need to know about it. A lot of folks just feel like I dropped out and I don't matter, no one cares. Quite the contrary. But these community colleges, places like this, that's the ladder, that's the opportunity, and we want to provide financial support for those to take advantage of it, again, even without getting through high school. So all of these things coming together. Final point. We're also going to make this seamless. You thought all that was, again, a little bit confusing. But we got Mary Ann here and others. She started something years ago. It was stubborn to get started. Some previous, there was a lot of opposition to a cradle-to-career database system. And you go, well, you roll your eyes about a database, but this matters. And to have a seamless platform that is universal across the system and that is embraced by the private sector, by industry, And that's why right behind these fancy folks here, you'll see this career passport, where we are going to have basically a platform for people, these e-transcripts that are transferable, that take all your life experiences, take all of those skills that you've developed, and create a passport where those skills can be utilized in the private sector and advance your opportunities as it relates to your career and your future. So this is something we've been talking about for years, and guess what? We got a $100 million proposal in Prop 98 to finish the job this year. So I'll be asking my good chair of education, Mr. Assembly Member, our newest Assembly Member, to consider supporting that effort, building on your previous efforts around the work we're doing on Cradle to Career, and then advance this seamless verification, e-transcript rather, for career opportunities moving forward. So again, I'm enthusiastic. I love all this stuff. I came from the private sector. I started a small business right out of college, put pen to paper. I had one part-time employee, Pat Kelly. Tragically, she just passed away a few weeks ago, and I was with her family, and we were talking about the origin story, where I just came out of college and came up with a crazy idea to open a little business, and how she inspired me to do that, and how we grew that to dozens of businesses all across the state. I don't say that to impress anybody, but to impress upon you a passion for entrepreneurialism, a passion for free enterprise, a passion for opportunity, and the critical nature of having a workforce that can constantly get reskilled and feels included. And that does not conclude my comments, because I'll just end by reminding you of something. California, years ago, got rid of a degree requirement for over 30,000 jobs for state government. And I say that because we're one of the biggest employers in the country. As an employer, for years and years, you don't have to have a fancy degree to get tens of thousands of jobs in the state of California. We've been working, I don't know, before Doge was Doge. I don't know what this is, just like a promo project. We've been doing civil service reform in this state. We've been consolidating job classifications. We've been updating job descriptions in this state, and we waived those requirements. And in fact, I think it was in August, earlier August, we came up with your shop. We're going to double that next year. In fact, by 32,000, it'll be 62,000 positions. We will have eliminated those barriers and that requirement. So California's been a leader in that space, and we want to continue to lead in that space. I just want to make the point. Everybody is included in this agenda. And I don't want people to feel like they're not. And I think that's more important than anything else I've expressed, is really what I'm trying to emphasize here today. We talk about California for all, from the Redwood Coast to the border. And that's why I'm very proud of all of you, and I'm very grateful for your leadership and stewardship. Doctor, thank you for having us here. And all of you, thank you as well for being out here today. Thank you. So, thanks again, everybody, for being here, and looking forward to January as we roll up all these Jobs First plans into one larger plan for the state of California. And mind you, this career master plan, we're also going to be in the budget, a little bit of a modest preview. I talked about the career passports and the $100 million investment that we want to make in that space. We also have additional investments that come from the career master plan and its draft that we also want to engage the legislature on to make sure that they're funded moving forward as it relates to the January budget as well. So that's just a modest preview, but of course here I answer any questions.
And Mr. Governor, thanks for taking the time. It's Eitan Wallace here with Nexstar Media Stations across the state. I saw here we had the new Assembly Member Hadwick. So this is a bipartisan plan. Can you just share about why it's so significant this is bipartisan and what that means to you, number one? And number two, I know it was a little hard to hear from Mecca. I'm sorry.
I can't hear a damn word you just said.
Oh, okay.
That's fine, but I'm going to answer whatever question I wanted to answer. I'm joking, buddy.
Oh, there you go. Make it a little bit better. Also, I'm so sorry if you just gave this, and I'm so sorry if you're literally repeating what you just said. I don't know if this is the last press conference we'll see before January 10. As a result, are you able to just give a little preview of how you're feeling about the budget overall before we see you in about a few weeks from now?
Well, we've got a balanced budget. We'll be submitting a balanced budget. We've had some really good revenue news over the course of the last 5 months, significantly by billions and billions of dollars, exceeding our original estimates and expectations. So all of that is very, very good news. I think a lot of that was aided by the effort we advanced last year, which was to address the current fiscal year and to address year two. And that's the first approach we've had on a 2-year budget, certainly to my knowledge, in the state's history. And I think that is paying big fruits in terms of making this a pretty straightforward budget. So that's top line. Beyond that, I'm trying to figure out, just for the purposes, I applied this when we were up in Calusa together last week, do we incorporate a state of the state and a budget speech together, do things a little bit differently, particularly considering what's happening on January 20th and wanting to hit the ground running. We've got this special session, so we may want to collapse all that together. I'm still figuring that out. But the budget is, as they say, at this time every year at the printers. So I'm intimately familiar with what's in it, but you'll appreciate cannot share all that with you because we have a lot of stakeholders to engage, the legislature to engage before January 10th. On the issue of a bipartisan effort, that's what this has been from day one. We never considered R's and D's and U's and R's in context of rural urban. This process was always about people coming together across every conceivable difference in a diverse state that's the size of 21 state populations combined. You referenced the Assemblywoman. She's from a part of the state where, as she joked a moment ago, it's 3 hours from the nearest Costco. I joked with her before the press conference. I said, I don't think that's possible. I didn't know there was a Costco that was 3 hours away from anyone in the United States of America, but it sort of reinforces the unique nature of her community. She also highlighted, she didn't share today, that the issues for her around education, it takes 2.5, almost 3 hours to get a substitute teacher in her district. There's rules that exist and persist as it relates to accessing substitutes that she would like to change and champion that are unique to the needs of her district. And that's exactly what this whole process is about. It's about reconciling all of those things. And we've got 10 remarkable counties that I spent a lot of time. I grew up in California, spent a tremendous amount of time in my childhood up here. I've been up and down so many times as governor I can't count, including, by the way, one of the biggest investments the state's ever made, and that's the $450 million to create a new Cal Poly, just a stone's throw away at Humboldt. And so we're back up here in this new collaborative. We've got the K through 16. We've got the previous frameworks, the Strategic Growth Council I didn't mention. We've got this Jobs First that we started and launched well over a year ago. And now the fruits of all that hard work and all those efforts are coming together, and we're starting to put it together in a way where people can see the larger narrative here And for me to be in that meeting today and to hear how they are collapsing all of these initiatives together without me prompting that was pretty extraordinary. And I told them this is something I hoped for, but could not have imagined the kind of pride that I had as I was sitting down with everybody in that round table, that they made real a lot of what we had promoted many years ago.
Hi, I'm David Benda with the Record Searchlight newspaper here in Reading. You talked during your press conference a little bit about how, this is not a program where Sacramento is just dictating the terms, and you're in an area, a demographic, an electorate that's very suspicious of everything that Sacramento does up here. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that and to assure people that, this is a local program, so to speak, working with Sacramento?
This is locally driven, locally organized. The regional framework came together in an organic way. You heard referenced before. It started as just 5 counties. They came together and provided a platform for 10 counties because they thought that was it was a locally driven framework that was more appropriate for the North State. All of the recommendations are recommendations from your communities, from your neighbors, from nonprofit leaders, from community leaders, civic leaders, all throughout the 10 counties in this state. The funding does not dictate any requirements as it relates to the framework of the plan. The $14 million that we backed up this planning process with, the state of California has no direct involvement where those dollars go. It's about early action on the basis of this bottom-up community-driven plan. And the $120 million of competitive grants, that will be the exact same approach. So light touch. California is big, I was saying earlier, big on what? Small on how. We recognize we've got to reconcile gaps as it relates to unemployment, recognize that we've got to represent a much more robust workforce development framework, particularly in the northern part of the state, but the how is left to local decision makers. So I think it's the kind of approach that should be almost universally addressed or embraced up here in Northern California.
Good afternoon, Governor. Travis Gilmore with the Epoch Times. Thank you for taking all of our questions.
Thanks.
When we talk about jobs, there's one issue affecting businesses, $20 billion in unemployment debt to the federal government. Is there any room in the budget to draw this down, or are we expecting businesses to pay?
Well, as you know, a few years ago, I put billions in, and the legislature took it out, and then I came back, and they took it out. And so this has been an issue for us for many, many years. But look, I'm familiar with this. Last recession coming out, we had about half as large of a debt, and we worked our way out and paid it back, and that's the approach we'll take on this. So we'll continue to make the case with the legislature of the imperative and importance of paying down this. It's an obligation we have. We will pay it down. We just want to make sure we don't do it on the backs of employers as it relates to the payroll tax, and that's obviously a point of concern. And so we're very mindful, I'm very mindful, and have been for years about this, and very hopeful that as our economic conditions continue to improve, and they are improving significantly, and you'll see that represented in the budget, that we could take some big chunks out of that debt as well.
Excellent. And then AI is something that's really, we lead the world in AI. It's a huge growth potential for the state. There was an interesting study out of UC Riverside last week that said that air particulate emissions coming from AI could actually pass vehicle emissions in California by 2030. Is this something that was discussed in the roundtable when we were convening strategies?
No, I mean, there's a consciousness, not just as it relates to energy consumption with data centers for the large Gen I compute, but also water consumption, which is often overlooked as it relates to data centers and Gen I compute. But look, this is a world that's radically changing. California is the vanguard of this. And as you know, 32 of the top 50 AI companies in the world are all here in the state, vast majority in the northern part of the state, in the Bay Area in particular. We want to maintain our competitiveness in this space, but we're mindful of the energy side of this. Why it's interesting, you'll see, and a few years ago, I'm talking a little out of school, but it's interesting to me. Probably 6-7 years ago, a bunch of friends in the Valley that were talking about nuclear and talking about their investments, their venture capital in modular nuclear, more modern nuclear. And it was always curious to me. I wasn't connecting a dot at the time until there was a greater emergence of consciousness around Gen AI, and then how seamless now the focus and the twinning of that has become. So you're seeing a race now around energy, not just as it relates to compute and the component parts of that. So look, in real time, we consider all of these things, but obviously that's an evolving issue for the state of California, is how we continue to dominate and lead in terms of being the biggest beneficiary of this industry, at the same time continue to advance our low-carbon green growth efforts.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah.
Hi, Governor. Ashley Zavala with KCRA3. I want to go back to Assemblymember Hadwick being here, which is a pretty rare Assemblymember Hadwick being here, which is pretty rare for you to have a Republican state lawmaker at your press conference. And I just wanted to know if that's something we might see more of you within the next couple of years.
We ask in every case.
You do? Okay, you ask Republicans
we had a
every
few
time?
drop out today. We continue in every part. But I'll remind you, and you've been there, with Republican mayors, Republican leaders of chambers of commerce, Republicans in the audience. We don't ask if you're a Republican or Democrat. We never ask for that. This is not part of my mindset. It's not part of this initiative. It's never been part of the initiative. So every time we go into someone's district, we reach out. Sometimes they can make it. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes people use it as an opportunity to preen. Sometimes people use it for political purposes. She's a Republican. That's amazing. I married in a Republican family. Not that amazing. I love that, and I don't mean that. I just mean she's someone who cares about her kids. She cares, and she's a pretty special person. I mean, she talked about her bonus family, helping someone who was formerly homeless. She was in there talking about community schools. I've been a huge champion, 4.6 billion reasons to back that up. And I love that she's a beneficiary of those programs. She commented about how Sacramento had helped support those programs, and she happens to be a Republican, but I'm honored that she was here and look forward to working with everybody I can to advance our mutual goals.
Okay. My second question for you is related to the budget, the economy, Californians overall. Last week we reported about how there's going to be a little bit more money taken out of the paychecks of most California workers next year because of SDI. And also, every year we see an increase in the gas tax. I wonder, with these programs and with these taxes, how much Californians pay, should the state be more transparent and maybe do a little more to just alert folks when more money is going to come out of their wages for state programs?
Well, I mean, there's very transparent. If you're referring to paid family leave, that was a multi-year stakeholder process that had dozens of hearings and public forums. That's a very transparent process and a very inclusive process. And so maybe we can amplify that up even further. It also was announced a year before it was implemented. So from that perspective, it gave plenty of time for people to understand the benefits of paid family leave, particularly where we are in the North State. The biggest beneficiaries of paid family leave disproportionately reside where I am right here in Redding, California, in parts of California where wage replacement hasn't kept up. One of the few industrialized nations in the world that doesn't provide paid family leave. You got folks out there. You met this young lady who's a graduate of the academy here in partnership with CAL FIRE. She's looking to get her EMT. She just had a young child. I think she deserves appropriate wage replacement. She deserves time to bond with her child. I think that's good for the community. It's good for the economy of this state. We know the economic benefits of that are 10x. And so I'm really proud of that effort. And California is a leader, but not as much as you think in this space. A lot of other states are further along on paid family leave than even California. And they finance that strategy similar to what we do here in the state of California. As it relates to the gas taxes, you're right, the voters of California supported codification of the gas tax. I don't know of many states that don't have an annual appropriation that adjusts for CPI. If there are many, they may be few. So that's a similar approach we take. And of course, big beneficiary of that as well as folks here in the northern state that receive billions of dollars of infrastructure investment for roads and for other public safety efforts. So all those things have benefits, and we're really proud of the leadership in that space, and we've got a lot more work to do.
Thank you for being in Reading today, Governor. I just wanted to ask about the future of California. I know that in the election, 8 counties voted red or flipped red. I was wondering what the Democratic Party is hoping to do to unite Californians in 2025 and what some of your goals are for the new year.
Well, I don't want to talk down to people, past people. I believe we all want to be protected, connected, respected. I respect people that supported me, people who don't. Let me give you an example. We were in Colusa County last week with a county supervisor that supported my recall. And we were there talking about our Jobs First program, a Republican that supported my recall. That's an open hand, not a closed fist. That's how we begin to reconcile our differences. Show up, listen. She had a lot to say and was remarkably helpful when we had a similar conversation around the economic and workforce strategies in and around the Colusa region. And I was grateful for her participation. She also participated in the Jobs First process and I think felt heard. And I think that's what it's about, people feeling heard, people feeling like we have their back, that we're not going to turn their back. You know, one of the things I would never do, I won't, is turn my back on the people in the North State because they may have voted a different way, for example, as it relates to disaster preparedness. I'm not going to threaten folks up here for fire suppression because they disagree with me on an issue or two. That's the other guy in the White House that's been doing that to Americans that happen to live in the state of California. I don't think that's an approach, personally, for bringing people together. I think quite the opposite. I don't think that's an approach that's very American, candidly. So I think, you know, we'll continue to listen, continue to engage, continue to show respect. And, you know, I think it's the 4th or 5th county that I've been in the last just few weeks that I hope demonstrate an answer to your question, not just rhetorically, but substantive.
Amazing. I have one more question. I know that the SAFETY Act goes into effect in 2025. There's a local school district, the Anderson Unified School District.
And forgive me,
the SAFETY Act.
Which one? I have 10 versions in my head right now.
The SAFETY Act for kids in schools who and the
was this
like
the forced outing?
Yeah,
forced outing. Yeah, or depends. There's 2 versions of the story, but I forgive mine. Yeah, continue, please.
So our local school district, Anderson Union High School District, has vowed not to comply in 2025.
State law.
Will there be any consequences for this?
Well, I think I'll have to ask the Attorney General. I mean, if people, I guess they're the right to break the law, but usually there are consequences to breaking the law. But I think that's unfortunate. There's so much misinformation about that effort. Teachers can still talk to parents. There's nothing in the law that suggests teachers cannot engage parents if they're concerned about the safety of a child. If that concern is around their sexual orientation, I find it curious, but to the extent they feel that someone's sexual orientation is a safety issue, then those teachers can continue, as they have been able to continue, to engage parents. What they can't do under the law is fire a teacher for not being a snitch. And I just don't think teachers should be gender police. Humble point of view. And I think this issue's gotten weaponized, and our gay community's been demonized. And I just think, again, a little humility, a little grace, in the spirit of your previous question, that we're all in this together for the grace of God. Go, any of us. You know, a lot of remarkable people happen to be gay and had a journey that was very difficult and confided. Often they can't confide with someone at home, and they confide with a teacher. And a teacher, in many ways, may save their life. And I don't think that teacher should be fired if that teacher doesn't turn in that child. And so that was, I think, the spirit of why the legislature passed that bill and presented that bill to my desk, and one of the reasons I signed it. Thank you.
Hi, George Johnston with the Chico Enterprise Record. Recently, we had the devastating fire at Bidwell Mansion. I was wondering if you had a chance to visit it yet, and has there been any discussions at the state about a possible rebuild funding?
I haven't had a chance to visit it, and let me circle back with you about any state support as it relates to the specifics of the fire. In fact, our team will assemble and give you some of the details. I appreciate the question. Thank you. Thank you.
Steve Gibson, KQMS radio locally. Are any of these programs that you discussed today or any other key programs of your administration jeopardized potentially by your administration not playing ball with some of the more draconian measures promised by the Trump administration?
You have to ask the Trump administration. I hope not. Again, open hand, not a closed fist. I hope we get along. We got along. President Trump and I got along very well during COVID, notoriously so. You can Google a half dozen press conferences. The president was very explicit about that relationship, very public about it. At the same time we were getting along, he was taking billions of dollars from the state. At the same time, we were engaged in lawsuits. My predecessor, not just myself, but you add them together, first term of Donald Trump, there were 122 lawsuits. We didn't initiate those lawsuits. It was a response to assaults on Ronald Reagan's leadership, on Richard Nixon's leadership, going back to the Clean Air Act, the creation of the California Air Resources Board in 1967. Those are just two examples, and I imagine we'll see those again. But look, we're not threatening to withhold fire suppression money from North State if you don't do our bidding up here, and I think President Trump has threatened that. We'll see if he follows through on that. I pray he doesn't as an American.
Specifically, he has proposed dismantling the education department. Would that cause any of these programs to go?
It would be a wrecking ball to education here in the northern state. 7.9 billion reasons why I say that. That's the impact on California if those dollars aren't redirected in some way, shape, or form. We were just talking about your new assembly member in Modoc and how difficult it is to get substitute teachers. Also, how prideful. What I love about the North State is how prideful people are about their local public schools. There's deep connection. And to see them gutted for pure political purposes would break your heart. It also breaks communities, places, lifestyles, traditions. That's, to me, what public education is, institutions, particularly communities like this, represent. And so I don't think education, in this respect, Department of Education should be a political football. I mentioned, and forgive me for belaboring the point, but I'll make the point again because I think it needs to be made. We got a waiver from that same Department of Education to provide upwards of 4 million people that didn't graduate high school the ability to get financial aid to go to a community college like this. That came from a waiver from the U.S. Department of Education. I'd hate to see that department vandalized and politicized.
Max Tedford from KRCR, ABC 7 here in Reading. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned a lot about a collaboration with local leaders. We received a letter, and I think several agencies did receive a letter from the Colusa County supervisors who claimed when you visited them last week that you didn't coordinate with them, that you didn't talk to them, that you cut them out of the conversation. And then talking to supervisors here in Shasta County, they say they weren't aware that you were coming, that you weren't, that they didn't know you were going to be here. And so, is there any truth to these claims? Have you tried to talk to these counties? Have you tried to talk to these local leaders?
Well, I think I would encourage, with respect to the Colusa example, that those supervisors talk to their colleague, a member of the Board of Supervisors, who was with us at the convening, who was among many that were invited to the convening. And as I say, she supported a recall. So, no, that lacks any merit on that basis. As it relates to folks up here, we had representatives that couldn't make it, that we reached out to here. And this was a process, again, that was a community-led process, a bottom-up, inclusive process. State was hands-off in terms of the final product. I came up here to receive the product, to highlight its priorities, talk about how North State is a big part of our larger vision in the state of California, and how we'll be back in January with $120 million of grants. And I hope they focus more on that than public letters to members of the press, just to impress upon you a stale political point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we thank you, all of you, for being out here today. Thank you, guys.